what the cures for COVID might be or the way to best manage COVID. Basically, what this article that I just found, to me, it blows the roof. It blows the lid off the whole COVID conversation in terms of whether or not hydroxychloroquine is an adequate treatment for COVID. A lot of you have seen this whole COVID conversation get really crazy, really political, really ridiculous. And I just hate it. I hate it all because people are dying, because people want to be loyal to their political parties, or people won't believe something because it came out of the mouth of Donald Trump, or they won't believe something because the liberals said it or whatever. And I just think that's stupid. It's absolutely stupid and it's destructive. So let me just tell you guys what I just found that has me like literally in a state of emergency in terms of the importance of me sharing this information with you. This is an article in Newsweek written by a Yale professor, a Yale epidemiology professor who has published in the leading academic journals in his field, has basically written an article in Newsweek magazine that basically says that COVID is not that hard to treat. He literally has said that hydroxychloroquine in combination with specific other drugs pretty much reduces the death rate of COVID to almost nothing, And so, a lot of you, have really, some of you may have gotten into the whole politics of it, where people are making jokes that, oh yeah, well, Trump is saying hydroxychloroquine works and blah, 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 blah. This Yale professor who just wrote an article in Newsweek, one of the leading epidemiologists in the country, said, we have done tons of trials with this thing. This stuff really works. This stuff really does significantly reduce the death rate. I'm going to read some of this to you because it blew my mind. I saw it and I said, thank God we finally got some people coming in here dropping the mic on this shit so that we can really have intelligent conversations, because it's getting so stupid that people's versions of reality are changing based on what political party they're in. And I just think it's dumb. So here's what the article in Newsweek says. This guy says, as a professor of epidemiology at the Yale School of Public Health, I have authored over 300 peer-reviewed publications and currently hold senior positions on the editorial boards of several leading journals. I am usually accustomed to advocating for positions within the mainstream of medicine, so have become flummoxed to find that in the midst of a crisis, I am fighting for a treatment that the data fully support, but which, for reasons that have nothing to do with the current understanding of science, have been pushed to the sidelines. He's talking about hydroxychloroquine. He's talking about how the politics has caused us to really think this stuff doesn't work. And here's what he says. He says that as a result of the stupid politics, he doesn't say stupid politics. I'm mad. That's what I'm adding it. He says, as a result, tens of thousands of patients with COVID-19 are dying unnecessarily. Fortunately, the situation can be reversed easily and quickly. I am referring, of course, to the medication hydroxychloroquine. When this inexpensive oral medication is given very, very early in the course of illness, before the virus has had time to multiply beyond control, it has shown to be highly effective, especially when given in combination with the antibiotics azithromycin or doxycycline and the nutritional supplement zinc. Now, what's really fascinating is, you remember that African lady? Anybody remember that African lady that was speaking about it and everybody was trying to clown her and saying that she's just full of crap and all that? Like, that's what liberals do. They label you. If you're not saying something that they like, they slap a label on you. They try to discredit you, try to defame you. They did that to Cornel West when he challenged Barack Obama back in the day. They've done that to people like me. They've done it to a lot of people. I'm not liberal. I'm not conservative. I'm just not getting on board with anybody's BS if I don't agree with it. And so they were basically trying to talk about her like a quack. Well, this sister was basically saying a lot of what this guy is saying. She was saying that hydroxychloroquine does make a big difference. So let me read more of this to you. Hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button. And what's up, everybody on Instagram? My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. If you want to keep it real and you want real conversations, then go to my Instagram, The Real Boyce Watkins. On May 27th, I published an article in the American Journal of Epidemiology entitled, quote, Early Outpatient Treatment of Symptomatic High-Risk COVID-19 Patients That Should Be Ramped Up Immediately as Key to the Pandemic Crisis. That article, published in the world's leading epidemiology journal, just so you know, you don't get on the faculty at Yale by being stupid. You don't get uh, to publish in the most esteemed journals in your field by writing a bunch of BS. You have to be solid with your science. That article, published in the world's leading epidemiology journal, analyzed 5 studies demonstrating clear-cut and significant benefits to treated patients, plus other very large studies that show the medication's safety. Physicians who have been using these medications in the face of widespread skepticism have been truly heroic. They have done what the science shows them is best for their patients, often at great personal risk. I myself know of 2 doctors who have saved the lives of hundreds of patients with these medications, but are now fighting state medical boards to save their licenses and their reputations. The cases against them are completely without scientific merit. So what you have here, folks, what you're witnessing here, black people, is you're witnessing what you call a recurrence of McCarthyism. McCarthyism was a very dark era in American history where anybody who didn't go along with the mainstream was going to be labeled and punished for deviating from what the state was telling them to believe, or what the popular opinion happened to be. And the people who stood up in the face of that tyranny were the people who were on the right side of history. So right now you're dealing with tyranny. Right now you're dealing with tyranny that says, if you don't go along with us, we're gonna try to clown you, we're gonna discredit you, we're gonna defame you, we're gonna dog you, we're gonna act like you don't matter. When the reality is that people need to start looking at truth and looking at facts. So anyway, let me keep going. Let's see. I'm gonna eat some blueberry waffles and meditate. There you go. That sounds like a good plan. Go eat some blueberry waffles. Save me some. I'll be over at the house in a minute. All right. So since publication of my May 27th article, 7 more studies have demonstrated similar benefits. In a lengthy follow-up letter I also published to AJE, I discussed these 7 studies and renewed my call for the immediate early use of hydroxychloroquine in high-risk patients. These 7 studies include an additional 400 high-risk patients treated by Dr. Vladimir Zelenko. Listen to this. 400 patients treated, 0 deaths. 400 patients treated, 0 deaths. 4 studies totaling almost 500 high-risk patients treated in nursing homes. In nursing homes. These are people that are really already pretty close to the end. Nursing home patients, not healthy young people. Nursing home patients. And they said that out of the 500 patients, there were no deaths. No deaths. A controlled trial of more than 700 high-risk patients in Brazil with significantly reduced risk of hospitalization, and only 2 deaths out of 334 patients treated with hydroxychloroquine. Now, all these patients had COVID. Remember, COVID's the big death sentence. Oh my God, you got COVID, you're going to die. Well, 334 people, 2 died. 700 people, 0 died. 500 people had COVID, 400 people had COVID in the first study, 0 died. COVID's not a death sentence. So let's get out of that stupid narrative that if you walk out of your house, you're gonna die. That's just crazy. So this Yale professor who wrote in this, this is in Newsweek. The title of the article is "The Key to Defeating COVID-19 Already Exists. We Need to Start Using It." Go look it up. Don't listen to me. Go look it up and read it for yourself. Here's what he also says. He says, my original article on the AJE is available online. I encourage readers. This is something that nobody's doing. All these stupid people out here throwing around their opinions. First of all, most of them aren't doctors. But then second of all, they're not going and looking at data for themselves. They're looking at MSNBC like zombies. And Rachel Maddow is feeding them information. And they're taking it in like, oh my God, Rachel says I should be scared. I'm so scared. Or they're watching Fox News and Sean Hannity is giving them an interpretation. And they're taking it in like a dumb person sitting in the pews and the pastor is interpreting the Bible for you and telling you what the Bible says. No, you should be reading the Bible for yourself. You should be getting the data for yourself. You should be getting the information for yourself. So let me keep reading. Beyond these studies of individual patients, we have seen what happens in large populations when these drugs are used. These have been natural experiments. In the northern Brazil state of Pará, COVID-19 deaths were increasing exponentially. They were going out of control. On April 6th, the Public Hospital Network purchased 75,000 doses of azithromycin and 90,000 doses of hydroxychloroquine. Over the next few weeks, authorities began distributing these medications to infected individuals. Even though new cases continued to occur on May 22nd, the death rate started to plummet. It is now 1/8 of what it was at the peak. Now their death rate has plummeted because they started using these medications. So what's interesting here is what they're really saying to you is that those people who have a vested interest, a financial interest in keeping you scared to death, pay attention. Pay attention. they don't really talk about the death rate in the U.S. The death rate is not out of control. It's a big number, but percentage wise, it's about, if you take 1% of the population, chop it into 10 pieces, and cut that last piece in half, that's about the number of people that have died. So it's not like 1 in every 3 people are dying, or 1 in every 10, or 1 in every 50. It's like 1 in every 2,221. So that's a very small number, but it sounds big. Like if I say we're gonna put $10 million into the economy, $10 million is nothing in an economy with 330 million people. But if all you're focused on is the number, you're not gonna understand how small the number is as a percentage of the population. A lot of people don't understand percentages, so they'll just hear 150,000 and say, "Oh my God, that's insane." Well, do you know how many tens of thousands of people in the black community have been killed from gun violence? Like seriously, like tens of thousands of people have been killed from gun violence. Does that mean that you're going to get shot tomorrow? No, it means that it's an issue, but it's not one that's overwhelming everything. So this Yale professor, this article, I'm going to put this article, it's on my Facebook page. My Facebook, if you look up Boyce Watkins on Facebook, you'll find it there. I try to share it on Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins and the number 1. You can read it there. And basically, he's going down the list and making arguments to explain how, based on his work as one of the leading epidemiologists in the country, he said that hydroxychloroquine works if you mix it with zinc. And the other drug that he mentioned, I keep mangling the word, but there's another drug he mentioned. If you mix that cocktail together for people that just got the virus, not for people that are really already almost dead, but for the people that just got the virus, he said the death rate practically disappears. It becomes a controllable, manageable situation. Pay attention. This is another part that was really good. Oh my God, I was Alicia and I are scientists in our field. My science is finance. I have my PhD in finance. Her doctorate is in social work. So we're both very familiar with statistics and analysis and research. So we're really excited about this. And so he mentions another natural experiment in Switzerland. Pay attention. Everybody's talking about Switzerland. This is interesting. He said on May 27th, the Swiss national government banned outpatient use of hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19. So just for political reasons, not for scientific reasons, but they banned it because everybody had associated it with, I guess, Donald Trump, and they said, oh, it must not work because Trump said it. So check this out. He said around June 10th, at first Switzerland was seen as a model. They were like, oh, Switzerland, they're not shutting down and they're doing really well. Well, that narrative changed. He said around June 10th, COVID-19 deaths increased fourfold and remained elevated. So the number of COVID deaths started to elevate in Switzerland because they stopped using hydroxychloroquine. He said on June 11th, the Swiss government came back and revoked the ban. And on the ban on hydroxychloroquine. So on June 23rd, he said the death rate reverted to what it had been before the ban. He said people who die from COVID-19 live about 3 to 5 weeks from the start of symptoms, which makes the evidence of a causal relation in these experiments strong. Both episodes suggest that a combination of hydroxychloroquine and its companion medications reduces mortality and should be immediately adopted as the new standard of care in high-risk patients. He says, so why has this drug been disregarded? He says, first, as all know, the medication has become highly politicized. For many, it is viewed as a marker of political identity. So if you believe in it, then you're a Trump. You must be a Trump supporter. If you don't believe in it, then you're a Democrat. Either one, if you allow that to define you, then I can't help you. You're just stupid beyond repair, in my opinion. You should not let these stupid political parties define you as a human being. Make your own decision. Come to your own judgment. So he says, nobody needs me to remind them that this is not how medicine should proceed. We must judge this medication strictly on the science. When doctors graduate from medical school, they formally promise to make the health and life of the patient their first consideration without biases based on race, religion, nationality, social standing, or political affiliation. Lives must come first. Second, the drug has not been used improperly. He said in many studies it hasn't been used properly. Hydroxychloroquine has shown major success when used early in high-risk people. But as one would expect for an antiviral, it has much less success when used late in the disease course. Even so, it has demonstrated significant benefit in large hospital studies in Michigan and the New York City area when started within the first 24 to 48 hours after admission. In fact, as inexpensive oral and widely available medications, a nutritional supplement, the combination of hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, I'm sorry, I'm mangling these words, my apologies. Azithromycin or doxycycline and zinc are well suited for early treatment in the outpatient setting. The combination should be prescribed in high-risk patients immediately upon clinical suspicion of COVID-19 disease without waiting for results of testing. Delays in waiting before starting the medications can reduce their efficacy. Third, concerns have been raised by the FDA about risks of cardiac arrhythmia, especially when hydroxychloroquine is given in combination with azithromycin. The FDA based its comments on data in its FDA adverse event reporting system. This reporting system captured up to 1,000 cases of arrhythmias associated with hydroxychloroquine use, right? So basically, he's saying this Yale professor who knows a lot more about epidemiology than you do. So if you think this is a bunch of bullshit, then go to Yale and get a PhD in epidemiology from Yale, or get on the faculty, which you probably can't do, and then you come back and talk to me. But if you're just sitting on the sidelines and you're just mad because Donald Trump said it or a Republican said it, and you want to believe whatever Rachel Maddow told you on TV, then go watch MSNBC, because this conversation's not for you. So in Newsweek, what he's basically saying here is that the one risk of hydroxychloroquine is that it was connected with arrhythmias in the heart. Now check this out. This is where you see where the population gets screwed and misled, because people don't understand probabilities and statistics. They just look at raw numbers. So pay attention. He says, but what the FDA did not announce, it's what they leave out that is always the key. That's always the secret. I'm always like, okay, you told me this, but why didn't you tell me this, and this to put it into proper context? So what the FDA did not announce is that these adverse events were generated from tens of millions of patient uses of hydroxychloroquine for long periods of time, often for the treatment of lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. Even if the true rates of arrhythmia are tenfold higher than those reported, even if they were 10 times higher, right? So he mentioned a couple thousand cases. He said even if it were 10 times greater than that, the harms would be minuscule compared to the mortality occurring right now in inadequately treated high-risk COVID-19 patients. What does that mean? That means that even if you had a tenfold rise in the number of arrhythmias associated with hydroxychloroquine, it would still be minuscule compared to the number of people that are going to die if you don't give them the drug that they need. So this is not coming from a politician. This is coming from a scientist. This is not coming from an average scientist. This is coming from a guy who is a high-ranking scientist at Yale University. I come from academia. You guys know this. And I can just tell you that I have to give respect to him, because you have no idea how hard it is. Most regular people would literally be in an insane asylum if they just tried to get through the PhD program at Yale. I applied, I got accepted to the doctoral program in finance at Columbia University. I'm going to tell you about how competitive academia is. It's like the NBA for smart people. I got into the doctoral program for finance at Columbia University, and I also almost got into the program at NYU. At NYU, they had 400 applicants for 8 spots. And I was ranked number 9. The lady told me, she said, the reason you didn't get in is because you were number 9 and the other 8 people all took the offer that we made to them. Usually somebody doesn't take the offer, so you would have got in. This is the only year that all 8 people took the offer. That's why I didn't go to NYU. I turned down Columbia because I wanted to go to a different school. But the point of the matter is that it is that hard just to get into the program. Graduating is another thing. A lot of these programs fail half the students before they even graduate. So you're the top 8 out of 400 people, and then half y'all ain't even gonna make it anyway. And then when you make it, you're probably not gonna be good enough to get a job teaching at a Yale University, because they take the creme de la creme de la creme de la creme de la creme. So this guy is not just a doctor. I just want to make that, this is my point. He's not just a doctor. He's not just a scholar. He is a doctor, scholar, top of the pile doctor. He's the doctor that other doctors go to when they don't understand something or haven't seen something before. So this is not a regular dude. That's the point I'm trying to make for you guys. I don't even know this guy, but I understand enough about academia to know that this isn't something that you could just write off because you're a Democrat or write it off because you're a Republican. So he also says that so he says what the FDA did not announce is that these adverse events, meaning the arrhythmias associated with hydroxychloroquine, that they came over the course of tens of millions of studies. So he said that I don't think he said tens of millions, tens of millions of patient uses. He says, so even if true rates of arrhythmia are tenfold, the harm would be minuscule compared to the mortality occurring right now in inadequately treated high-risk COVID-19 patients. This fact is proven by an Oxford University study pay attention, of more than 320,000 older patients. They weren't testing young people, they were testing older patients. These are the people that are most at risk for COVID, so they're going into the danger zone. This fact is proven by an Oxford University study of more than 320,000 older patients taking both hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. I need to eventually learn how to say that word. Azithromycin, who had arrhythmia excess death rates of less than 9 per 100,000 users. So he's basically saying that out of 320,000 older people who were given hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin. I'm gonna keep writing it. Azithromycin. I'm so bad with this word. Please forgive me. But basically, out of 320,000 older people who were given this drug combination, the number of people that died from arrhythmia-related issues was 9 out of 100,000. 9 people out of every 100,000 people. That's practically zero. That's damn near zero. So this article's in Newsweek. You should read it. It's really good. And I love the fact that he had the courage to come out and say this. His name is Harvey A. Risch, MD, PhD. He's a professor of epidemiology at the Yale School of Public Health. And he's basically saying that treatments for COVID are available. We just have to stop playing politics. So if you want to know what, everybody's got an agenda. I have one too. If you want to know what my agenda is, first of all, it's the black agenda. Y'all know this. I'm B1 for life. But then number 2, my agenda is truth, man. My agenda is just like, look, stop it. Stop telling me that something isn't true just because Donald Trump said it. That's not enough for you to convince me that it's not true. Stop convincing me that something's not true just because the Democrats said it. I'm not listening to that either. And I think we've lost ourselves in the politics. And I don't even think anybody's going to listen because the world has gone crazy. The world has lost its mind. The world has gotten dumber and dumber every single day. But I think at the end of the day, if you really care, you got to ask yourself, do you care about politics or do you care about saving lives? Do you care about politics or do you care about keeping people alive? If you care about keeping people alive, then you go where the truth is, no matter where it lies. And this article, which is in Newsweek, written by Harvey Risch, PhD, MD, who's a professor of epidemiology at Yale, the title of the article is "The Key to Defeating COVID-19 Already Exists. We Need to Start Using It." And he's saying that if we start using that drug combination, that we can get to the point, and this is something that I think we're already getting closer to every single day, we can get to the point where the number of cases is not relevant relative to the number of deaths. I don't really care if 20 new people caught COVID. I want to know how many of those 20 people died. If all 20 of those people survived and only one of them has symptoms, I don't give a shit. Because you could go tell me, you could go report the herpes infections rates. I mean, I'm sure those would be through the roof. There's Dennis Rodman. I watched Dennis Rodman do a thing about all the women that the NBA players sleep with, and he took a hidden camera. I don't know if y'all saw this. It was really funny, but he had a hidden camera, and he had all these women that literally didn't even know him were coming up saying, I'm just really connected to you, and I'm wondering, here's my number. Can you call me, or can I come see you later on? Like he said, in every city he goes to, all these women want to sleep with him, and they said, so with HIV and AIDS and Magic Johnson, didn't that slow you guys down? And he said, yeah, for a little bit, but then everything goes back to normal. So you got all this crazy stuff happening in the world, all these people doing all kinds of stuff, getting in all kinds of situations, all kinds of diseases and viruses and infections happening everywhere. And so to me, I think you got to pick your battles. I think that we just focus on this one because it's on the front page of the news, but pay attention. You notice media doesn't report the number of deaths anymore because the number of deaths is not an interesting headline. The number that gets the headline is the number of new cases. So they love to prove their political point with their headline. So they'll say something like this, something that allows you the opportunity to say, ha ha, I told you so, right? So like the liberals are the ones who kind of think, unfortunately, my liberal friends are the ones who think they're smarter and better than everybody else, and their job is to educate the world, right? My conservative friends actually don't mess with people. They just kind of have their own little beliefs, and they sit in their corner. They don't go and tell liberals what to think. But liberals are the ones who feel it's important to tell you why you're wrong and why they're right and why you need to, just wear a mask, asshole, and do this and do that. So they'll have a headline that'll say something like, mom holds a birthday party for all of her daughter's friends. Now 4 of them have COVID. And so people will read the headline and it gives you that smug sense of satisfaction that lets you say, oh, see, I told you. Look at them out here having fun and not being scared. And that's why they call COVID. See, that's why they, like, they feed that. They feed that I told you so that people need to be able to say to themselves. But my thing is, I'm like, okay, well, how many, did you die though? Like, how many of these people are dead? Like, if they died, then that's a different conversation. And my heart goes out to anybody that knows people who died. I know people who died from COVID, but I also know people who died from gunshots. I know people who died from heart attacks. I know people who died from car crashes. I know a lot of people who died, right? So, but seriously, at the end of the day, if nobody's dying, then I don't give a shit. Like, if nobody's dying, it's like, okay, so, like, I really think, do you know Alicia and I really think COVID came through our house? We all had 3 days of intense sweating and headaches and all the symptoms that you describe with COVID, and we all got better. And then she was having a meeting with some colleagues in her field, and one guy said, yeah, he said, I was so shocked. He said, me and my wife and my kids, we all got sick for 3 days, and then we got better, and then a month later, we all got tested for COVID, and it turns out we all had the antibodies. And I was sitting there thinking, I said, how many people out here have the antibodies and don't even know that they had it? Like, so I'm not saying that it's that you want to go out and try to catch it or that it's not a big deal. I'm just saying, stop it, man. Stop trying to get me to be scared like you. I don't, people will find any excuse to be afraid. And I just think if you're going to be scared of Ebola. Be scared of AIDS. Like some of y'all raw dog and having raw sex. Like, be scared of that. That's what should scare you, right? When you catch AIDS and you got a new baby mama. Like that, those things should scare you. But I don't think this is scary. I think this is just something you have to deal with. It's a problem that you solve. I'm a mathematician. And in mathematics, when you get a problem, you don't get scared because you have a problem. You just solve the damn problem. So if you want my position on this, my view is we should solve the problem. Just solve the damn problem. That's it. Put on your mask, wash your hands, do what you got to do, be smart, and stay safe. And if you get a little bit sick, it's not a death sentence. Getting COVID does not mean you're going to die. It means you're probably going to live. Your odds of living far outweigh your odds of dying. That's what it is. All right, guys. So go read this article. I'm going to put it on my Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins and the number 1. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. And I'm going to put it up there, and it's in Newsweek. It is by a Yale professor who basically explains why he doesn't understand why we're not using hydroxychloroquine, because he said all the studies are pretty much saying that this stuff does work, and somebody politicized it, and then it just got stupid. So that's what it is. All right, guys, hit the thumbs up button before you go, and also make sure you subscribe to drboycetv.com. I'm going to talk about some more stuff tomorrow, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day, and I love you. Thank you for listening.